Hey guys, it's Erica from Perfectly Pink and Particularly Sassy, and I am doing a Sims 4 speed build today in the City Life pack. This is Gabriel Radford, and he is actually a drag queen. He is male by gender, but he is feminine in his likes and his clothing. So for the speed build, I am going to be building on 18 Culpepper Lane, I think. It's in the Sims 4 City Life pack, and I am building in the apartment. So I did save a couple of the rooms the um, to the origin pages, but I wasn't able to save the doors and things because you can't save apartment builds. You can only save actual rooms and houses. So here I'm actually working on the bathroom. I did kind of use mainly stuff from the um, SpaDay pack. I really like that pack for the bathrooms, and so I thought I would stick with themes throughout. So as you're going to see here, this one's a little bit harder for me to do. I'm still working on camera angles and how to work the mouse and stuff. I do work off a laptop, so things are a little different. I use a different mouse instead of my trackpad, but it was still a little rough working with the camera. So here I'm kind of just laying out the bases for the rooms, the main floor colors, and the walls. And I'm going to start in the bedroom. The bedroom, I did stick to a lot of the stuff from the City pack or City Life pack. I do really like the color schemes in there. Very, I guess I want to say boho is the kind of the word I would use for a lot of this stuff in there. So I'm like sticking to a yellow and turquoise theme. He is very feminine in his likes, so I thought I would keep it kind of fun and fresh and bright. So yeah, that's kind of what my inspiration was. I really like making things very cluttered, so I did put a lot of random figurine or random like wall art and things on tables and stuff. Um, I'm still struggling with how to work some of the things here. I did put in two different codes when I started this build. I used move objects on so that I could place things together, as well as show hidden objects, and that shows a lot of things in the game that wouldn't typically be in buy mode. So you'll see a little bit more of that kind of stuff when we get to the kitchen part of the build. There is uh, a lot of things. I feel like when you put on the show hidden objects part in the build, it does add quite a bit to your buy mode area. So like when you're scrolling through, there's a lot of extras in there because it shows things that you would normally just get while playing the game. So if you go in City Life, there is an option to go to festivals, and every festival you can purchase things like snow globes. So when you do show hidden objects, it actually shows all the snow globes. So you can just purchase them ahead of time if you wanted to decorate with them. But it does add a lot of extra content when you're sifting through. So sometimes I turn that off unless I know there's something I want, which there are some pictures that are part of the dining out expansion pack that I did use in the kitchen, but I could only get them when I turned off or when I turned on show hidden objects. Um, so yeah, now what I'm doing here is I'm trying to, a lot of people, what they do when they start a build is they just put in the bulb lights that are on the top of the ceiling. I start with that to kind of get the room color I want, and then I go through and I put in external lighting. So that's kind of where I'm at right here in this part of the build. It was a little hard, and it's kind of difficult when you are building in this small area to kind of maneuver around the walls and be able to have everything up at the same time and still see what's going on in the walls. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to work some of these features when building or just when playing in general. So sorry if I struggle with that a bit. Because it is a speed build, I sped this up so much, but you can kind of see where I take my time trying to fix some things out and I change some things around. So it does take a couple minutes, and I apologize for that. I'm still kind of new at doing this really fluidly. I usually take quite a bit of time when I'm building stuff. So the actual time on this build was probably an hour and 45 minutes, and I've cut it down to 30 by speeding it up for everybody. So let me know how you guys like this video. They're pretty common videos for YouTube, but I definitely love building and decorating in The Sims. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. So I figured I would share that with you guys and show you kind of like my inspiration behind certain things. Um, so yeah, I do have pretty much, I have all of the current expansion packs and game packs, except for vampires. I do not have vampires. I have DineOut, GetToWork, SpaDay, Outdoors, and GetTogether, and then CityLife as well. So that's the game packs and the expansion packs. I do not have any of the stuff packs. That is something I'm thinking about getting. I'm not quite sure if it's worth it. I do like a lot of the things that I've seen in other builds with the stuff packs, but I mean, they're pretty cheap. They're only $10 a pop, and there are, I think, 8 or 9 of them out right now. So that's something to think about. If I want to continue doing this, I might think about getting some more stuff. So I don't have any downloadable content. Everything in this game comes with the game. I do not have any modifications on here. So everything you see is available within all of those expansion packs and game packs. And then one thing also that I'm doing in this game that I've recently picked up on is because I turned off the move objects cheat, I guess you could say, I'm able to kind of merge certain areas of the build. So that being said, I've also learned how to, and this isn't something that you need to cheat for, it's just something I learned how to do. If you hold down the Alt key or the Options key if you have a Mac, then you can move the objects outside of the grid. So I actually turn off the grid when I build. Just hit the G key on your keyboard for American, I believe, or English keyboards. You just hit the G and it'll turn off the grid, because I don't particularly like looking at the grid on the build, so you actually probably won't see it at all during this. But anyway, typically if you don't hold the Alt key, most of the objects will snap to the grid. And just what that means is it just stays within like a certain line. So if you hold Alt down, and you might see me do it when I'm adjusting pictures here in a few minutes, you're able to kind of put it on any surface you want without it snapping to a certain position. And like I said, that's not a secret or anything, it's just something I learned how to do. Also, another thing I've done in certain areas of this build, and it actually already passed in the beginning of the build when I put a picture in Gabriel's room. It was a picture of a peacock, I believe. The picture itself is small, so you just hit the bracket keys and it'll enlarge them. You can make pretty much any item larger. There are some items you can't enlarge. I can't remember which items those are, but you can enlarge the items or use the other bracket key to make them smaller. However, when you have an item that's already big, you cannot make it smaller than its original size. So, fun fact. So with the kitchen here, I kind of decided to do something very like I want to say, I mean, it's obviously an apartment, but very kind of rustic is the word I want to use. It's very, I don't want to say IKEA. It doesn't look IKEA, but there's lots of room for storage, because when you live in a small place, you obviously want to have storage that's not just on the floor, so building upward by having extra cabinets and such. And then also the counter space is important. So in The Sims, there's tons of things you can place onto the counters for decorative purposes or appliance purposes, and you have to be very careful that you still leave counter space for them to cook on, or else they won't be able to make food. So that is why I added some extra space on the left. And then here you're actually going to see me be able to use the Alt key, because typically it would snap right into the middle, so you couldn't put it close up to that countertop and it takes up extra space. So I was able to use the Alt key to kind of shift it into closer up to the cabinet, or I'm sorry, the counter. And then something I'm still working on, and if anyone has tips for me on how to do this, is how to use the Alt key better when placing things on top of objects or on top of counters and things. So that's been a little difficult. You'll see here in a minute me struggle trying to put things on top of the shelves. I just use the 9 key to lift them up, because typically you cannot place items on the top of shelves. It's not, I'm sorry, on the top of cabinets. They're not shelves, so things will not snap to them. So if you just use the 9 key, it'll lift up the item from the ground, and then you can just put it back on top of the counter. So it's technically floating. So here, right here, I'm about to put up a picture of pancakes. These are actually going to come down by the end of the build, but these ones are from the DineOut pack when I hit, or when I put in the cheat for show hidden objects. So those were not available without the cheat. And then also, I don't know if you noticed, but on the right-hand side on the wall, there's a plaque. It's right there next to the window. I'm going to stop these bricks right before it. That plaque is part of this apartment because this apartment was labeled haunted and historical. And because it's a historical apartment, that plaque was put in here by the owner of the building and it cannot be removed. So that was something I struggled with, and that is going to make me placing a lamp later very interesting. But it's the price you pay for living in a historical lot, I suppose. One thing I really love is I'm like super cluttered when I build. I think I already said this, but like I'm super cluttered. I love having walls filled up. I don't like blank spaces. It gives me, I don't want to say anxiety, but it makes it look boring and plain. So I like to try to have things kind of filled up for the most part, but typically I'll be using way too much stuff or trying to find new uses for things. So you'll see me struggling with some shelves here in a few minutes. This, as I'm scrolling through here, you can see all of the extra items that show up when you turn on hidden objects, because they're items that you would typically find within the game. So if you go to a park or if you're walking behind your house, you can dig up plants and things, and sometimes you'll find time capsules, I believe is what they're called. See, right now you can see me messing with the 9 key trying to get this flower box, and I got it. But anyway, you find like time capsules in the game when you dig up, and like gems and jewels and stuff, and then also certain things that you would earn as rewards. So these are the kind of things that I'm finding here. You can also find, I think, if you go fishing, find like certain minnows and tree frogs. So those are things showing up. That's why it's taking so long to scroll through these items, even at a faster speed, because it does add a lot of content. But it also gives you a lot of ability to decorate with these items without having to go search for them throughout the world, unless that's something you like in a game, is the strategy of finding the things. One of my favorite parts about The Sims is actually the building and the decorating. I do enjoy playing it regularly, but I really like doing builds, and I really like creating rooms and such. It's probably one of my favorite parts. So if you do want the extra stuff to decorate with, or if you wanted to do like a let's play and you want to have them already be set up in their goals, that is an option to go ahead and put those items in without having to find them yourself. And also, I think there was an update, I want to say it was last year around Easter time, when you could go through and there you'd find Easter eggs, and then you could display them. They would just go into your inventory and you could display them in your home. And basically now you don't have to find them. They're all just in the hidden objects cheat. Here I'm using some stuff from DineOut to kind of decorate the kitchen and give it a little bit more color and a little bit more um, clutter, as a matter of fact. Color and clutter. I really do think that it's, I mean, if you look at your own kitchen, you probably have tons of stuff on the counters and tons of stuff displayed. Not everything fits in a cabinet, but it always looks nice to have a little bit of color in your kitchen to make it more appetizing. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to add a bunch of, I believe these are jars of peppers for a little bit of color. One of the fun parts about city life is, like I said, the festivals that you can go to, and one of the goals is to have your Sims try food from every different festival, and then once they've tried the food, they can actually learn how to make that food. So you've really expanded on how much they can cook in this game and what items they can make, so I think that's really cool. And also, the more curry you eat in this game, the more you are able to handle spicy foods. But one thing that's interesting to me, and maybe I just haven't figured it out yet, but when you go to like one of those spicy curry festivals, I'm not actually sure the name of the festival, in the City Life pack, you can purchase spices and such at the festival. And I found that they put them in your inventory and then you can put them on display, but I haven't been able to actually figure out if you can use them in your cooking. So I found that to be really interesting. So I guess they're more of just a display option, which makes sense because a lot of the food items that you use in The Sims just come out of the fridge. There's not a lot of dry things that they pull out. They don't keep cereal in the cabinets. It's all just, that fridge is just the portal of food. So they probably don't have the time to put in spices and such. But I just think that's very interesting that you can still purchase those items and put them on display. And if your sim is a person who likes to um, go out and that sort of thing, and I'm trying to think the aspiration, but anyway, then they can collect items from all of the festivals they went to and show how affluent they are. So here I'm actually looking for some of the pictures from um, the hidden objects from DineOut. I'm going to be placing them all above the top of the cabinets, and you will also see me use the Alt key there, and you can kind of see how it keeps the objects from snapping. Like I said, if you've watched these builds before, tons of sim gurus know how to do this. It is not a new idea, but it is definitely something that I'm still struggling with. Um, but regardless, I think it's pretty nice, and I'm not sure if this Alt key moving of objects was something that was available in The Sims 3. I did not have The Sims 3. I did. So I was very big into Sims, like when it first came out, almost 17 years ago. I think they're actually on their 17th anniversary. And I had a ton of the expansion packs for the regular Sims game. And then Sims 2 came out, and that was just awesome. And it's so different. And looking back at people using The Sims 1 now, it's unbelievable how much progress they've made. But I had tons of The Sims 2. I had pets. I had a house party, out vacation. Oh my gosh, all sorts of things. I can't even. There was so much money. And back then, I was, in middle school. So that was quite the hobby for somebody who didn't have a job. Because those games were like $40, which they still are, but now that we're adults, we can all pay for them. But I did not. I had the first one of The Sims 3, and when that came out, it was beyond its time for me, even though I had like pretty much up to date desktop at the time. It was too powerful for my desktop, and I was never ever really able to play it until I got my first laptop for college, and then ended up my husband, well, he was my boyfriend at the time, broke the disc. So I wasn't able to play it, and I never really got into the expansion packs, but I feel like Sims 3 wasn't really a thing for very long. I want to say it came out when I was, oh gosh, I feel like I was a senior in high school. No, it had to be before then. It had to be when I was like a junior in high school, so 2010, 2009. I really should probably look that up. But I feel like it wasn't a thing for very long. Um, it didn't go as long as the previous ones did as far as creating as many expansion packs. I could totally be wrong about all this. I just really don't remember any of it, and maybe it was because at the time I wasn't really into the game um, as much as I was when I was younger and now. So, but I do like The Sims 4 a lot. I'm hoping that they stick with this for a while before coming out with The Sims 5. You can see here I'm actually moving the door so that I can have more room for this mirror over here without it being too close together, because I did want to put a table under the mirror, kind of like a little side table, so when you come in from being out and about, you can just pop your keys in there. And I feel like Gabriel is very prissy in his likes, and he likes things to be very fancy. So my theme with this living room area was to kind of be more simple in black and white. So I'm kind of sticking to that theme with just very clean colors, whereas his room is more vibrant and loud. And then the kitchen is kind of, I don't want to say the kitchen, it's not dull, but the colors are more dull and dim and rustic. So I'm kind of just trying to stick with the themes, and that's why I put the beams between the living room and the kitchen, was to kind of divide up the two rooms so that I was able to have like a fine line of where these styles could be separated. And I'll do some more separating here towards the end between the kitchen and the living room, and it definitely adds a lot more clutter. And it takes up a lot more space, but when you have such a small space to live in, I think it's important to try to divide it up as much as possible so that it does feel like there are more rooms, but in a way it could definitely make the space feel smaller than it actually is. And I really do like the idea of having a fireplace. Um, this fireplace came in City Life. I like it a lot because it's a lot more simple, but it does give off like a really weird light. And that's one issue I have with a lot of The Sims um, lighting, is that they give off a yellowing light, and you can change the intensity and the color of the light once you are in play mode, but it still varies depending on the item you have. So the bulbs that are currently up in the living room half on the ceiling, those are going to give off way more white bright lights, whereas the ones that I replaced in the kitchen are going to be more dim right now, and they kind of give a yellower glow versus a white glow. So that's something I struggle with in lighting, but that's a real life issue when you are putting lights up in your home. We have various lights in our current apartment that do come off yellow versus white. I prefer white lights, honestly, but in certain living spaces, the yellow is better. It's more calming and warm, whereas in your bathrooms, you want more white lights for females specifically to do their makeup. It does give off a more natural lighting, and then it's better for color and perceiving color. But yeah, I feel like Gabriel here, I did give him the I believe it's friend of the world aspiration. I'll have to double check. But my goal would be for him to be an entertainer and to do things like that. I love drag queens. I think they're so much fun. I am a big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, if anybody's seen that. So he was kind of my inspiration because you can do a little bit of the gender bending in the sim and the create a sim now. I kind of wanted to mess with that. So like I had said, he's still fully male. He can get others pregnant, all that other stuff that goes with that, but he just has certain um, feminine likes, and he wears makeup. Um, and he likes, I mean, I would assume he would like men if he wants to like women. I guess it just depends how the game's gonna go. I don't care. So that was kind of my goal, though, was to make him more feminine looking. And every outfit that I made for him, he has two options. He has a girly drag queen option, and then he has a male option that's probably a little bit more feminine in looks. But still more manly. So he does not have to conform to any one thing. He can do whatever he wants, and just depending on the day, I suppose. But I think that'll be good for him. He can kind of have options, and then he still does wear makeup when he is in his male clothing or more masculine clothing. You can't really put gender on clothing, but you can call it masculine or feminine. So yeah, I want to make his place very typical. This is something that I would think would definitely be in the city, and a lot of drag queens live in cities because they work there, and it's where all of the clubs are that they uh, entertain at, and it's just probably very similar to what most people who live in the cities, I think, that are younger would enjoy as far as a house or a home goes. So that was my goal in this build. was to make it very fresh and to make it something, I want to say youthful and young, and very trendy. So unfortunately though, this is only a 1-bedroom apartment, and when as you saw at the beginning, I took down the walls, so it was always a 1-bedroom though. It was always a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, but I moved the bathroom into the bedroom, which I guess if you had a 1-bedroom apartment, you might not want that because then people would have to cross through your bedroom to get to the restroom. But there was a lot more room in the back half, and I thought that that would be better to give more room for a more spacious kitchen and a larger living space. So that was kind of my goal in that aspect. You could always, I could have always split up with a hallway and then cut off his room halfway instead of making the bathroom in the bedroom. So that's an option. And if you wanted to download the room, it is on Origin. It's actually under an old screen name of mine. I will link it in the description below. But I have hashtag PerfectlyPinkAndParticularlySassy. Unfortunately, that hashtag was too long, so I also added the hashtag PPPS, which is my which is something that you would see in my blogs. So that is a way that you can find these builds. And like I said, they are on Origin, but because it's in an apartment, I could not save the entire apartment or the lot. So I had to save, and I did not save the bathroom. I just saved the living space in the bedroom, and I saved them under CityLiving. PPPS is the title, and then I hashtagged PPPS in the description. They did remove all of the windows and doors because the windows and doors are fixed. The main door into the apartment is a fixed item. You can change the doors once you're inside, so the doors from room to room or room to bathroom. Those ones stay in the game when you save, but the windows around the building are unable to be moved, as well as the main door to the hallway. So those are actually removed when I saved, but because I put curtains on most of the windows and I did put a carpet directly in front of the front door, you can see where those items are. So if you did want to download this room, you can, and then also the plaque for the historical fixture on the outside wall there will not be there. It did not save to the build. So hopefully, if you do decide to put this in somewhere, you can build around it or put it into a home. But I don't think you're able to download it into a CityLiving dwelling. So, but I did put the name of the apartment that I used to build. So if you wanted to use this actual apartment, I did think it was good space-wise. I believe the rent on it was $600 a month, and I don't know if that changes because I know your home price, your bills will change the more things you have and uh, the more you've spent on the inside components. So I don't know if that changes with apartments. I don't think it does because I think it's a fixed rate. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not for positive. I did, when I built this, I did have to use a cheat, and I think you watched me put it in. It was the motherlode cheat for more money because he could not afford this lavish apartment on just $19,000 because the apartment was an initial down payment of $1,000. So that is that. But I believe the entire build, oh, I can't even remember how much it cost for everything. But I do use, like I said, a lot of cluttery things. So anybody want to count how many times I said clutter, let me know in the comments because I'm sure it was quite a bit. But anyway, yes, all the items I used were just kind of nickel and diming on the build. But that's why we have cheats. And if I do decide to, I don't know if I would do an LP with this sim. I might, but if I do, I think I might take away his extra money and require him to get a job in order to pay the rent. So all the fixtures inside would kind of be a wash as far as cost goes. But we'll see what I decide to do. I haven't figured that out yet. But yeah, regardless if I post an LP with it or if I just play it on my own, I'm probably going to take away his funds and make him earn his own money because drag queens are hard workers, and I don't think that Gabriel wants a handout. He seems like he wants to earn his own way. So that's what I'm assuming. I believe I also gave him the traits of being an insider. Ooh, what were the other ones? I think snobby and materialistic. So that is why I did give him such a lavish apartment, because he is very materialistic and he does like nice things. And then he's going to be a little snobby because, I mean, drag queens judge everybody. So this right here, I'm trying to mess with the lights. I end up taking out the light on the left because it's just not working, and I end up replacing the other light with the light that I have between the TV and the door because it does give off a more white light. But I really did like how warm these lights were. It kind of gave it a nice cozy feeling in the living room, but I ended up changing it just because it was a little bit easier and it looked better and more balanced, because right now I'm going to have to move that so that it's not hidden by the curtain, and then also remove this one because it cannot balance it, because I cannot remove the historical plaque. So I end up just doing the same light as right here, and that way I can keep it similar throughout. And I do end up changing the chandelier above the kitchen table as well. I am pretty much done, I believe, in the bedroom. I will post pictures at the end. They're not that great because I wanted to make sure that all the walls were up, and because the rooms are so small, it was extremely hard to get good angles and get the whole thing, but I did my best to get as many pictures as I could. That way you guys could have a better idea, because I realize it is a small area and I'm zoomed out quite a bit and the screen is a little bit smaller, and then especially with all of the buy mode options at the bottom, you lose a lot of space being able to see majority of what's happening. So I did post some pictures, and then also, like I said, if you wanted to download them in the Origin, you can. Or what is it called? It's on Origin, but it's in the I can't think of it. Not the library. Is it the library? Sims 4 library? We'll just say the Sims 4 library. It's in there. It's under my, like I said, I will post my screen name, my Origin screen name. It is Queen LOS 119. So if you are looking for my stuff, that is where it is. Here are the pictures. I went through them kind of quick. So hopefully you liked it, and let me know what you think. If you like these type of videos, if you would rather me do an LP, or if you want me to, I don't think you want to watch me build and talk at the same time. It would take forever. But anyway, let me know what you think, and thank you for watching. Subscribe and give this a thumbs up. So thank you so much, and keep it sassy.